So we're going to talk a little bit about limit raise variations today, all right? We tend to use the word limit raise and invitational raise as interchangeable words. You'll hear limit or better, invitational or better, they mean identical. Does that make sense? So part of this is terminology for some people, so when we say limit or invitational, it's the same. So there's ones without interference and there's ones with interference. So let's look at without interference first, the top examples, okay? Whether a minor or a major suit, we tend to play 1-3 as an invitational raise. I understand that some people play this as forcing, which is not standard. Some people play Bergen a convention, which chooses that they play something else other than 1-3 as invitational. But unless you're playing convention, 1-3 is usually invitational. Most of us over a major play that a major 2-no trump is a forcing raise, correct, Jacoby? And this particular version of a limit raise always promises 4 or more trumps in a major, and sometimes 5 or more in a minor, but at least 4. A lot of us play inverted minors, correct? So we don't play over a minor the same way. So you're playing a convention which changes how you do it, right? Some people play inverted minor, that's your limit plus or invitational plus raise. But in standard without conventions, 1-3 is usually invitational. The second option is one that you frequently do over a major if you only have 3 trumps. Partner opens a major, you've been a no trump forcing. Partner bids something else, and now you jump raise them to 3 of their major. This is a 3-piece limit raise, as opposed to a direct one that's 4. Is everybody familiar with that difference? This is something that a lot of you do right now, am I correct?
A lot of them don't play 2-over-1.
It's not a 2-over-1 thing, it's whether you play a no trump forcing. That's what gives you the ability to do it or not. It's not whether you're playing 2-over-1. The third option is a splinter type of raise. This is an invitational or limit raise with shortness as part of your hand, a double jump. So over a heart, for example, it would be 3 spades showing short spades and 4 trumps and invitational values, or clubs. You bid the shortness, right? How many people have heard of a splinter before? Most of you have heard of a splinter, right? But it's a different style of a limit raise. This particular one shows shortness. Ergo, if you play splinters and don't do it, partner knows you don't have 4 trump or you don't have shortness, correct? So this information can be helpful. The last one that's very commonly played is if your partner's a passed hand, regardless of whether you're in 3rd seed or 4th seed, you play some version of Drury. Strangely enough, when Drury first came out many years ago, it didn't promise a fit. It was just a way to find out whether you had a full opener or a light opener. But as bridges evolved over time, everybody plays Drury usually to show a fit. So if you look at your convention card in major suit openings, you see the Drury box, the last box is fit, because there's still a few old timers that play Drury where it doesn't promise a fit, which is very alien to the way most people play nowadays, but it's still legitimate. So a lot of people play what's called 2-way Drury, so that way you know how many trumps partner has. So after a major suit opener, 2 clubs shows exactly 3 trump, 2 diamond shows 4 or more. They're both, quote, limit raises. They show hands of invitational strength. Some people choose to shave them and play them a little bit lighter. Some keep them more pure. Some play 1 flavor of Drury. Some play 2. All falls under the general category of a limit raise. Okay?
I have a question on going back to the splinter.
Yes.
Some people play that you have to have 11 plus points to the splinter, but some people say you have to have a full opening to splinter. What do you prefer?
Most of us who play splinters say if your hand's good enough to open 1, you may not splinter. Because if you have 4 trump and your hand's good enough to open 1, we want to bid 2-no and leave more room to explore, as opposed to this big splinter raise which wipes out your room to explore. So if your hand is good enough to open 1 and you have 4 trump, we prefer Jacoby 2-no trump to a splinter. We don't want to blow those extra 2 levels of space to explore. And I strongly encourage you to do the same.
So 11 points is plenty splinters.
I'm not arguing. I'm going to say what you call an opening bid. If you're dealer in first seat, you open one or not. The answer is yes, Jacoby. If not, splinter. Let your own definitions be your guide. Because remember, in everybody's partnership, some people leave open a little light, so you need more to respond, or vice versa. The scales still have to balance. Doesn't matter who's got it, but the partnership's got to have the right stuff, right? So if you open a lot of 8 counts, you need 13 maybe to, you see what I'm saying? If you're opening real sound 14, you can have a little less. If you're in the normal 12-point kind of zone that most people call opening bid or not, then you need similar values to make a decision. So again, it's always the sum, right? We don't care who's got what. It's that the partnership has what they need. Now let's look at the bottom section now, the ones with interference. Obviously, interference takes 2 kinds of forms. One is double, the other is overcall, correct? So over double, most of us play that 2-no trump regardless of what suit is open, shows invitational or better values and enough trumps. This is a convention called Jordan. Some people choose over minor suit openings to invert the meaning of 2-no trump and bidding 3 of a minor. Ergo, they play what's called dormer. So if you play this convention Jordan that is commonly played, 1 something double 2-no shows an invitational or better hand, and 1 something double 3, which used to be invitational, but now because of the interference, we just play that as weak. We want to eat up 2 levels of the auction, make it hard on the opponents to figure out where they're supposed to be. Promises a bunch of trump and not much else. Clearly says you have less than invitational values. How much less is open for negotiation? But you do not have invitational values. You understand? There's not 2 ways to show the same values. So you notice the auctions change meaning depending on what the opponents do. So it's very common to play that, for example, over a heart pass, 3 hearts would be invitational unless you're playing Bergen. But over a heart of spade, over a heart double, we play 3 hearts weak. The solution when they overcall is to Q-bid the opponent's suit. So if it goes a heart of spade, we play 2 spades as showing invitational or better values. 1 heart, 1 spade, 3 hearts is weak, showing 4 more hearts. Again, we're eating up 2 levels of the auction, trying to make it tough on the opponents. And again, there's a splinter component to this as well. So look on the bottom under the section with interference and compare option 2 to option 3. You see in the top example, if you bid 3 diamonds, just the simple Q bid, that's the normal invitational plus. If you jump and bid 4 diamonds, that's a splinter. You see the comparative? Compare the lower lines of the 2. If you bid 2 spades, that's invitational plus in clubs. If you bid 3 spades, that's a splinter. This is the part that gets confusing because people aren't so much used to splinters over minor suit openings. Is that correct? Yeah. So understand the simple Q bid, the cheaper one is invitational plus, the jump Q bid is a splinter. Please.
And is it showing a splinter in the suit that
It's showing club support and shortness in the suit jump just like normal. And enough values, you know, invitational plus. Splinters in competition are a little bit different than splinters without competition in that you're not limited to just invitational values. So in the example on top, when there's no competition, when you splinter voluntarily, you don't have a hand good enough to open 1. We do not do that in competition. We show it's invitational or better. The reason we do that is we're afraid that the next hand is going to further the preempt, and if we don't get our bid in now, we're going to get run over. That's why we do that. We take off the prohibition about how good the hand can be if we're afraid of the space. So we prefer, with a good hand and shortness to bid, option 2, but you may choose to bid option 3. Does that make sense? Only in competition. I personally like to play option 2 rules whenever I have an opening bid. So when I do option 3, I don't have an opening bid. It makes it easier for partner to judge the competitive auctions. But you'll notice there's a divergence. We play slightly different rules in competition than we do when we don't. You remember a lot of these raises, you promise 4 trumps or 3 when there's no competition because you have time and room. But once the opponents get involved, the Q bid is 3 or more. We don't worry about trying to differentiate. Too important to show the fit. We're scared about running out of space and time before the opponents stick it to us. So our primary attribute is to show the fit, work out all the other details later. Any questions about this stuff? So again, quick summary. You notice in this realm of limit or invitational, some of them are exactly limit or invitational. Some are limit plus or invitational plus. They start there, they can be bigger. Does that make sense? We're worried about defining the hand, getting a floor in, making it so we can cope with the interference or the value so partner has a better idea of what exactly we're trying to do. All right?
Chris?
Yes.
Jordan 2 no trump promised 3 or 4.
Jordan 2 no trump usually is played as just 3. There is a variation that is not commonly played where it shows 4 and you start with redouble and then raise with just 3, but that's not common. Most people think it's too crucial to establish the fit in case the auction gets competitive. So most of us that play Jordan say it's just however many trumps. So over a major, 3 trump is fine. Over a minor where partner could have as few as 3, we think you need 5 trumps. Right? The idea is you got to know you have 8, right? So over a major, which you think shows 5, 3 or more will suffice. Over a minor where you only for sure on 3, we want 5. Make sense? Any other questions? If you all will take your seats, we'll get your game started here in just a quick second. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, well,